Hey everyone. So I posted yesterday about making a deep run in WCOOP-07, and I got some questions on Facebook and Twitter asking about the stream, when's the stream coming back, and I figured I'd make a vlog today, give a little update, and talk about the tournament, talk about my streaming plans for the rest of the year and everything like that, maybe some miscellaneous stuff as well. And I think I'll save all that to the end of the stream, and we'll start by talking about the WCOOP. Started talking about the deep run yesterday because it was very exciting. Ended up finishing 14th for 4,000. Let's see here, $4,605.50. So a nice little score. But I can't help look at the top payouts and notice that first place was almost $90,000, plus the winner won another $37,000 in bounties. So probably shouldn't have looked at that because I'm just gonna get more tilted by thinking about it. But I mean, you can drive yourself crazy when it comes to tournaments, thinking about what could have happened, what should have happened, and overall, it was a very roller coaster tournament, I would say. But before I get into that, let me just start by talking about what my plans are for the series, the WCOOP series, and I'm gonna go grab my schedule, which is in the other room. All right, so all my WCOOP tournaments are going to be separate from the tournament bankroll that I've been grinding up on Twitch and off stream. Just like Scoop and T-Coop, without going into too much details, I basically am just playing a few tournaments as a separate thing. So yeah, for the series, I've circled probably 12 to 15 events, something like that. Um, not going to be playing, not going to be playing the 7th through 10th because I'm off to Vegas for a few days. Maybe I'll talk about that at the end of the stream. But I played 3 events so far. I played the 215 6 max, the 215 Sunday Million, and then this 700 PKO, and it's going really well so far. I cashed in one of the 215s too for about $500. So I'm already basically free rolling this series. My budget for these tournaments was about $3,500. So regardless of what happens now, it's going to be a free roll, which is always sweet. So I'm looking forward to the remainder of the events for sure. But yeah, let's talk about this tournament. So this was the most expensive tournament that I had planned on playing. If you look at the WCOOP schedule this year, there's a fairly wide range of buy-ins, obviously, but there isn't like a ton that are in the middle. Even like the Super Tuesday is like, some of them are like $1,600 this year, and yeah, just nothing around. Like I like the $700 range is kind of nice. Or it's nice to be on the bigger end, around $700 to $1,000 for me. So I basically just circled all the 250s, some 320s, and this was the biggest one I was gonna play. So I was pretty hyped up for it, and it's 8 max, which I'm not really the biggest fan of. Although now that I made this deep run, I'm coming around to it a bit better. But it plays quite a bit more aggressively, I think, than full ring. You might not think like there'd be a huge difference from removing one seat, but I don't know. I mean, it's not quite 6 max, but it does seem to play pretty aggressive. But I think it actually makes it a nice fit with the knockout format. So it was a lot of fun, the tournament. And obviously, $700 is pretty expensive in terms of online tournaments. So the field was definitely relatively tough. Even on my first table, I recognized a lot of online, high profile online players. But I mean, it's a tournament. There's only so much you can do when you're on 25 big blinds, right? So it was a little intimidating, I guess, but nothing too crazy. And I mean, when it came down to the tournament, like, I mean, it's absolutely absurd. I posted a picture on Twitter, but I won 0 bounties, not a single bounty the entire tournament. Like, I don't even know, like, I don't even know how that's possible. Like, even by accident, I think if you were gonna tell me like somebody finished 14th and was like trying not to win bounties, I still would say that's like impossible. And I was trying hard to win bounties and still didn't win a single bounty. I posted a picture on Twitter, and it's basically just a picture of my table, when we were down to the final 2 tables, and it has everybody's bounty on it. And I'm just looking at it right now, and like I'm surrounded by people who have won thousands of dollars, like 12,000, 7,000, 13,000 was the bounty leader, and I'm sitting there with $332.50 on my head. And yeah, it was just absurd. Like my strategy when it comes to these bounty builders is like I don't go too far out of my way to make any super reckless plays to win the bounties, and I honestly think it's the right approach because I mean if you just focus on like chipping up and building your stack, like enough opportunities just come up naturally. Like you don't need to be making ridiculous calls for the bounties. Like obviously the bounties should factor in to some extent, um, especially when they start getting massive towards the end of the tournament. Like obviously you should be adjusting your play based on these bounties to some degree. But like I didn't even have any close spots like for bounties. Like I wasn't making any like king 10 suited folds in the big blind with like a 9 big blind stack shoved under the gun. Like I didn't even have any of these close spots. I was short for a lot of the tournament, which obviously helps explain this because if you don't have anyone covered, you're not going to win any bounties. But it was a roller coaster tournament, and there were certainly times where even like where I had a lot of chips. Like early on, I had a lot of chips, and then once we got into the money, I was the chip leader at my table. So like I was short from a lot of the tournament, but there were also times where I just had like a ton of chips and just like couldn't get into any situations to bust these players. Like it was just so frustrating. And why don't I just try to remember some interesting hands that I played? I mean, so the tournament started, I got an early double up. Can't remember exactly what happened. I think it was just like I might have just won aces against queens or some kind of pre-flop cooler. Got some chips. Then a pretty interesting hand happened where I opened ace queen. I think I had like 30 to 40 big blinds. Opened ace queen, early position, folded around to the big blind. They called. No history, no real reads. This guy seemed like he was a high stakes tournament player, showing supernova. Had a pretty good stack. Flop was 6-3-3, and they checked, and I bet, and they called. Turn was a queen. They checked. Now I bet for value. They called. Two diamonds on the turn as well, and river was a deuce, no diamond. So it was 6-3-3, queen, deuce, no flush, and they checked again. And at this point, I decided to go ahead and bet for value. Even in hindsight, it seems like the right play. It doesn't even seem too close. A little bit hard to get called by worse, obviously, but I mean, given that the queen came on the turn, I mean, I'm going to have so many bluffs. Going to just be barreling off some overcards, some flush draws. It seems like a spot where we can get hero called by a 6 sometimes, maybe like 2 7s, 2 8s, who knows. Anyways, it became a really gross spot, though, because they check jammed on me, and I ended up folding. I don't regret it. I don't think people are bluffing there enough, and I don't think they need to turn like a 6 into a bluff very much. So it was a pretty gross spot, though, because I was thinking at the time, should I even bother betting? Like, it's kind of hard to get called by worse. Like, call from the big blind. He can have a 3. He can have like 6s. Like, he can turn stuff into a bluff, and then I'm just like folding the best hand, and it's just disgusting. But anyways, I ended up just like basically bet folding away a third of my stack. And then the next hand I got aces and like doubled up. So it was just like I would do my best to like give away chips, and then I would just get in these spots where they were just like automatic double ups. So that was kind of how the tournament went for a little while. And then right before the money, I got into like a devastating pot. Like this guy got moved to our table. He was like the bounty. I don't know if he was the tournament bounty leader, but he was the biggest bounty at the time at my table, and he had about, or they had about like $1,100. And obviously, you're not thinking about the bounty. They had a lot of chips, like had me covered, so wasn't even thinking about winning their bounty or anything. And then all of a sudden, they start losing some pots, and this is what happens. And then they were the short stack all of a sudden, and they were sitting 2 to my right, so it was a great opportunity to win their bounty. And this was probably a few hundred people away from the money, so yeah, things were looking pretty good. And then all of a sudden, I think they had 8 or 9 big blinds and folded to them in the cutoff, and they shoved. And I woke up with ace queen in the small blind. I was so pumped. Reshove, big blind folds. Cutoff has pocket 5s, which means we're flipping. And unfortunately, I couldn't win that one. And not only did I not win the bounty, which would have been like $500 right in my pocket, but I was crippled. Like maybe they had more than 8 big blinds. Maybe they were like 13 big blinds. I can't remember. All I know is I was left with 4 big blinds, and it looked like it was over, right? But yeah, then there's not much else to say. I just like ran insanely well with my 4 big blinds. I folded a few hands, and then I think I got ace king in the big blind. When I was pretty much just calling off with any 2 cards, I just like looked down at ace king, and it was just like ridiculous, and ended up tripling up that hand. and then I doubled up a few hands later, and then all of a sudden I was right back in it. Um, so yeah, I think it's like, I mean, it's probably worth talking about the fact that I didn't just like shove the rest of my money in on the very next hand. I think a lot of amateur players would probably just do that. I mean, how often do you see that actually happen? At the low stakes tournaments, when somebody loses a big pot, they're just always all in on the very next hand, and it's just like so stupid. I mean, you shouldn't be too frustrated if, especially if you just like made the most standard play ever, like with the ace queen. I mean, it's such a fist pump, get it all in, try to win the bounty, try to win the chips. There's no reason to be angry. Maybe you're just a little bit sad or upset about not winning the money, but there's obviously no reason to just punt off. So yeah, just, I mean, you even with 4 big blinds, if you think about it, I mean, you double up with the blinds and antes, you double up to about 10 big blinds, and we were only a couple hundred off the money, so even 10 big blinds is often enough to get into the money. So there's no reason to punt off even when you get really short. So obviously it helps to run well too. So then I was right back in it, and then after that, I mean, there wasn't too many interesting hands. Like I said, I just like couldn't get into any good bounty situations. I was trying, but just like I had some monsters and got no action, and nobody was shoving into me, and before I knew it, like I was just kind of hanging on, and we were down to the final 3 tables, final 2 tables, and the bust out hand was kind of interesting. I was 13 of 15, I think, at this point, but I still had 24 big blinds, so I wasn't that short. And I think under the gun or under the gun +1, I can't remember anyways. It doesn't really matter. They had about 8 or 9 big blinds, and they shoved. And they had a massive bounty on their head. They had like $8,000. So if you bust this guy, you're winning $4,000 right there, plus the chips, which are worth a lot at that point as well. So anyways, the short stack shoved, and it folded around to the big stack. I think they were in the cutoff, and they flatted. And I looked down at 2 6s in the small blind with 24 big blinds, and I don't know if I just like had enough of not winning the bounty, or if I just like was feeling gambly, but I decided to shove all in there with 2 6s. Like, I think it's fine. I mean, I didn't really. I assume the big stack is probably calling with their strongest hands, and they're probably calling with some pretty suspect hands as well to try to win the bounty. So I actually thought I might have some fold equity by going all in. Like, I can never really flat there. I mean, they had 9 big blinds. I would be flatting like over a third of my stack, which just seems ridiculous. Like, what if I ever flat there and then just like check fold on like a flop with an overcard and get bluffed off my hand, it's just gonna be terrible. So yeah, I think my options are just like shoving or just folding there, and I chose to shove. I thought it would be, I mean, the $4,000 bounty definitely influenced my decision, but even still, I was hoping that I actually might have some fold equity. Like if the big stack flatted with like 10 jack suited maybe, or like king jack offsuit, you never know. They might fold to our shove. So, excuse me. So I shoveled the money in, got called. The short stack had ace 9 offsuit. Big stack had king queen suited, and we lost. There was a queen on the flop, I think, and we just couldn't get there. So we had about 34% equity in the pot. So even without the bounty, given their exact hands, like, we're making a plus EV play. And with the bounty, I think it's got to be a no-brainer. But disappointing, I guess. But at the end of the day, like I ran so well in all the all-in pots. Like, excuse me, I have to get some water. We'll see if I can pull through. But yeah, I ran really well in the all-in pots. I won with like 4s against ace jack. I shoved queen 9 offsuit, got called by ace x. I shoved the small blind with queen 9 offsuit, got called by ace x. Still at 42%, but I won that one. I got my money in ace queen against king jack. And then I got my money in some better spots too, where I was, closer to an 80% favorite. But just the fact that I held in like all those spots and got lucky with the queen 9. I mean, I was obviously running fairly well, but everyone has to run pretty well to get that deep in the tournament. So that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, it feels like a missed opportunity, but at the same time, like I ever since that hand before the money with the ace queen against the 5s, like I felt like I was pretty much just free rolling the tournament anyways. So yeah, $4,600 in my pocket, no bounties. I'd really like to see somebody go deeper in a tournament and not win a single bounty. I feel like I set some kind of record that you don't really want to be the record holder of, but nonetheless, I'd like to see somebody try to go deeper and win fewer bounties than me. I don't think it can be done. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that tournament. So let me just get some water quickly, actually, and then we'll just talk about the other stuff. All right. Streaming. So yeah, I talked about it a little bit before, but we've been on hiatus for a couple months now, and the reason why I basically wanted to take a break from streaming, come back in the future, is just because I think it's going to be well worth it if I can get the tournament bankroll up a little bit higher, and we can play some tournaments that are a little bit higher, like say like all mid-stakes tournaments. Well, right now we're kind of mixing some low and micro tournaments. I think it'll just be better for the stream, better for the viewership, and all that kind of stuff. So my goal right now is to get the tournament bankroll to 5K, and then I'm going to restart the stream. So I'm at 4.1 right now, a little bit over 4.1 actually. So I mean I'm kind of in range of it. It could potentially happen any day, I guess. I mean, easier said than done. But most of the tournaments that I'm playing have a first prize of over $1,000. So I'm playing with a lot of stars coins, pretty low variance tournament. So I'm hopeful by the start of October maybe we can get this thing rolling again. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean I basically haven't been playing a ton tournaments or cash games. In August I've been just going away during the weekends a lot. And I'm actually, like I said, I'm going to Vegas for a few days tomorrow. Not really, it's not a poker trip. I'm just going with my girlfriend. We're going to go see some concerts and hang out. I'm probably going to play a little bit of poker, but just like small stakes, nothing significant or anything like that. And then I'll be back from that trip, and then I pretty much have the rest of the year completely free. Going to be planning on resuming the WCOOP tournaments, and going to be playing the other tournaments on the side as well. So we'll see, but I can certainly get it done by October, and then hopefully be back on stream for you guys as early as then. Even if I get there before October, I'd probably say October starting at the earliest, but that'd be a good problem to have. Gonna be playing some cash games as well, but that will just be something separate too. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys a quick update, let you know about the deep run. I got the Micro Millions trophy in the mail, which is kind of nice. PLO 8 champion. Never thought I would say that. So that was kind of cool. That's pretty much all the poker news I got for you guys. So thanks for watching the vlog, and I'll keep you posted on the tournament bankroll, of course. If I get to 4,500 bucks, I'll let you guys know. If I fall down to 3,500, I'll let you know. And hopefully we'll be streaming in October. Alright, good luck in the WCOOP if you guys are playing, and good luck at the tables, and I'll catch you guys later.